Hello and welcome once again everybody to the Join Dota League season number 4, a 2-game series as always for the group stages, Denial Esports versus Moscow 5 International this time around. It is game number 2 and whoa, we already have somewhat of a surprise pick, 3M Protector for Denial as the first one, but in any case, we're HeflaTV, I'm Coucher, I'm joined by GrandisV, and 3 first pick, man, what's up with that?
I think it's because they have the Wisp band out from them. Usually they're very comfortable in picking up the Wisp and Puck as their opening. But this game we're in for a little bit of something different. Dream Protector is going to offer them some nice global healing through the living armor, and the current pace of the game does kind of favor teams that are able to turtle out the game, and Dream Protector is a fairly good one at that.
But usually you also take just supports that have a pretty great impact or can have it at least even in the later stages. Does the 3 qualify as one?
I don't think so. He's pretty nice with Overgrowth, and if we see an Aghanim Scepter, which fingers crossed we will for Tree and Protector, Eyes in the Forest are a wonderful late game ability to have. But yeah, he doesn't scale that well, but he helps you get to that point. So as long as you draft around that and pick up some heroes that can scale, it works pretty well. But as for Moscow 5 International, I think this is a nice response to the Tree and Protector. They get a Jakiro.
It's definitely nice. You don't want to have just those buildings being kept alive by the living armor on and on and on. And Liquid Fire, like you mentioned, excellent against that, but there's also a Death Prophet available. Do Moscow 5 also snatch that one up and actually go for like a slightly heavier pushing style now? Or, whoop, a Shadow Shaman, okay then, well, it's pushing style for sure, but didn't really expect that one to come out. It's been so long.
Yeah, it really has, especially in the second stage. I have no idea why Moscow 5 International pick up this hero now. I think Shadow Shaman deserves a little bit more praise than he's been seeing as of late, but I also think it's unlikely that Denial would have banned him out. It seems it's just Shadow Shaman for the sake of Shadow Shaman, and maybe they are just going to go very aggressive in the pushing style lineup since there is a tree on the enemy team. When you commit to towers, if you're able to take them immediately, Tree and Protector doesn't get any usage out of living armor, and that's more or less negating the hero through the early portions of the game. Could work wonders for Moscow 5, and even if they don't get any more pushing power, Serpent Wards and Liquid Fire generally are enough.
Yeah, and well, if nothing else, we should at least be looking at a rather action-packed game. Unless Denial, of course, want to just keep split pushing out and not confront Moscow 5. Although they do ban out the Tidehunter themselves. Definitely a hero that would be nice if enemies pushing in to just go and fight them. But Moscow 5 themselves, banning out a Witch Doctor. They don't want to have living armor as well as Voodoo Restoration, just keeping people alive. And Paralyzing Cask, I guess, is decent-ish to try to slow down pushes. Not the greatest, of course, but we'll see. I'm definitely interested to see if Moscow 5 go for additional pushing. Death Prophets, they're not banned either, Denial. They can go for a Death Prophet themselves if they want to, but we'll see. Moscow 5 have the first pick in the second phase even, so I don't know. I really don't know what to expect.
I would expect the Death Prophet since it is available. I don't think you could really go wrong with that, and their pushing power would be immense. As far as the ban, that's a little bit more interesting for me, and I'm not sure where Moscow 5 are going to angle things.
I have to agree that Death Prophet definitely is just ridiculously strong. But some teams just somehow seem to not favor him as much, or I don't know. Maybe Moscow 5 are planning to just bring back a Shadow Shaman mid or something. Of course you can send Jankiro mid as well. Even against the Puck is decent-ish, although Liquid Fire can be dodged with the phase shift pretty much every single time earlier on. And Moscow 5 banning out the Death Prophet themselves, so no plans of going for it. Lycan is available if they want to go for that. Venomancer if they really want to just Strength Vendor push. I really don't know, it's just so out of the ordinary that... Well, it's gonna be a Lycan, so I guess it's extremely push heavy. Moscow 5, they probably want to end this game like before 25-30 minutes.
Yeah, definitely, and this makes the Death Prophet ban make sense. I was thinking that Moscow 5 would either ban the Lycan and pick up the DP, but this also can work wonders for them. Their pushing power is going to be pretty strong, and even if it does get to a late game scenario, Shadow Shaman wards don't really fall off that much unless the enemy team is able to instantly destroy them, and Lycan's also a pretty potent late gamer. So even if this does go to later portions, Moscow's 5 still have some decent tools at their disposal to access that late game, especially if they pick up one more hero that scales.
Yeah, they could go for that offlane Nature Prophet as well, for example. can definitely do quite a lot with the farm, and if nothing else, just delay things out with split pushing, just good old Nature Prophet Rat Dota style. And of course, depending on what denial goes for, Moscow 5 might even have the better late game lineup as well. Like you mentioned, Shadow Shaman can still be relevant, as can the Lycan. And even the Jakiro, just the Yule Scepter Ice Path combination is such a potent one. It's almost impossible to just escape from that. You just get thrown up in there, Ice Path is already waiting for you. You don't have to have like a perfect timing for it or anything, because Ice Path lasts for a little while. So we'll see now how Denial responds, because I'm pretty sure they weren't expecting such just aggressive pushing style coming out.
Yeah. Honestly, this game, Tinker might be an option for them, but even if they go for some really huge AoE counter push spells, it's not going to stop the push coming out from Moscow 5. It might clear out the creep waves, it might kill off the Necrobooks and the Wolves, but you still have Liquid Fire and Zerpa Wards to deal with, which is really difficult, and they're going to go for an Ancient Apparition. I really don't like this choice coming out from Denial Esports. With Dream Protector and AA, you can get some kills in the early game just with the double slows as well as Chilling Touch with Dream Protector's high base damage. I'm not really feeling it though. Is it going to be enough for Denial to stay in this game? I'm not sure.
Their last two heroes must be heroes that can just fight now, because otherwise I don't see a point for this Ancient Apparition pickup. If you're going for a pushing strategy, you're going to group up, so Ice Blast might be able to just hit multiple heroes, but you need follow-up as well. Puck is nice, just blink, silence, stream coil, but every now and then Puck's blink staggers aren't even as fast, so he's going to have to rush one probably. I don't really know either, just like you mentioned, the kind of passivity from Ancient Apparition and Dream Protector might be playing into the hands of Moscow 5.
Yeah, I really think it is, especially with the early portions of the game where Moscow 5 aren't entirely online with their push. I think it's going to give them enough space to get the Vladimir's offering and like, and eventually into the Necrobook. And now Moscow 5 go for a Nyx Assassin. This is somewhat of a change of pace, and I'm not sure if I really like this Nyx pick. Maybe it's preemptive up against a potential Medusa from Denial Esports, but I wouldn't have liked a Medusa anyway. The Nyx Assassin, it feels like a weaker Centaur, but it's still going to offer them some nice utility, and being able to burst and hunt down the Ancient Apparition while he's split pushing is always going to be a nice thing.
Nyx here can be strong. Against Puck, Mana Burn is annoying more than anything, but it's not like Denial running a Keeper of Light at the moment who you can spike Carapace out or something like that. I'm not really too sure about this either. It depends on how they're going to lane this though. If they're going for something like an aggressive trident with Shadow Shaman, Jakiro and Nyx, with Jakiro being the core there, it might be fine. Although even then I think there could have been better heroes for that role. I'm really not overly convinced. Maybe they have some special plans with the Nyx, but Faceless Void will be the pick for Denial. It's definitely nice, it's rather hard for Moscow 5 to push into a Chronosphere, especially if it's combined with an Ice Blast as well. So that's good for Denial, but Faceless Void is not that durable of a hero in general. I mean, yes, he has the backtrack and everything, but once you get stunned, and Moscow 5, they have, or should have plenty of it between the Shadow Shaman, Jakiro and the Nyx Assassin, even the Faceless Void might just run into trouble, and it feels like Denial, they will be so reliant on that Chronosphere that it just puts a lot of pressure on the player.
Yeah, if they're able to pull it off, it could be wonderful for them, but unless Denial come out with the perfect 5v5 engagements, with consistently landing 3+ man Chronospheres and Dream Coils, Overgrowths, they could find themselves in a situation where they're losing their base even if they have a kill advantage, just because they lose one or two key heroes out of that teamfight combination. So we'll have to see how it's going to work out for Denial Esports. As far as what they need to round out their lineup, we're probably looking towards the safe lane farmer as their last pick. And Moscow 5 will pick up the Silencer, and I quite like this coming out from Moscow 5. It's going to make sure that they always have a tool to stop Denial Esports teamfight combination. You can drop a global before the Chronosphere comes out, especially since the cast animation got nerfed previously. It's quite a lot easier to time that now.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is that usually you send the Ice Blast flying before and then you go for the Chronosphere. It's like, at least when the push is coming out from the enemy team. At the moment though, if that should be the case, and the Chrono comes out and Silencer just presses his global silence, that just means Ancient Apparition cannot focus at one place, or cannot stop that ultimate just because he cannot activate it. So, and all in all, even if it doesn't happen exactly like that, Global Silence is going to be excellent as Denial. They go for a sniper. They're just going for the longest range poke they possibly can. Shrapnel is decent-ish for counter pushing and just slowing people down. And man, I don't know. I favor Moscow 5's lineup in this case.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Denial, if they manage to take this late, they're going to be in a great situation with Silencer and Lycan get completely fed. But on even farming, if everybody's 6-slotted, Denial are going to be comfortable, and they're going to need to draw Moscow 5 International's focus away from the towers and hope to find fights on the enemy side of the map, even though they have the late game advantage and like to play passively. If you lose a fight near your towers up against the Lycanthrope, you're going to lose structures after the fact. So we'll have to see how they're going to be able to accomplish that, or if they will at all. For Moscow 5 International's side, it is going to be Bignum playing on the Jakiro. It looks like he's heading towards the offlane, double ring of protection. Maybe he'll have some support, maybe not, but our supports are going to be played by Screen on the Shadow Shaman and PGG on the Nyx Assassin. Necroman going to be farming on the Lycanthrope with ZXC on the Silencer.
As for Denial, Paris, Shockscout playing on the Sniper with fucking Mad on the Ancient Apparition, Choral once again playing the puck, Fanzi on the Faceless Void, and the last one will be Cryo J on the Tree and Protector. And even I had lags to begin with for this, although I've been having just some weird lags the entire day today. Not sure what's going on, but at least last game was lag free. Hoping that CryoJ reconnects soon enough as well. And this game, well, Moscow 5, I guess it's just kind of standard lanes for... How do Moscow 5 lane this actually? Is it really just offlane Jakiro solo?
I'm not entirely sure. I'd be okay with them throwing Jakiro next towards the offlane, and then just going for a pure dual lane setup.
I mean, Jakiro's item build at the moment at least is what I've seen on offlane Jakiros most of the time. And I think actually Moscow 5 International is the team I've seen run offlane Jakiro most. But yeah, the double just ring of protection start. We do get the game underway though, so we're gonna see soon enough how it's gonna be laned. At the moment, at least, Jakiro, he's flying his way there. I don't know. Maybe they're actually running and tri-lane after all aggressive one. Although that just means Silencer. We'll see. Let's just wait and see.
Yeah, for now, it looks like PGG is heading up towards the top lane with the Jakiro, so maybe it is those dual lanes that I was anticipating. These dual lanes are kind of nice because it'll ensure PGG gets some experience, and Shadow Shaman also does, and out of Denial's lanes, their killing potential is fairly limited, especially if you have any other hero to disjoint the combination. Like an Impale landing from the Nyx Assassin should keep Jakiro safe, or vice versa. An Ice Path from the Jakiro should keep the Nyx Assassin safe. But they could just roam around, maybe just go for a full-on defensive tri-lane, have Nyx Assassin be pulling. And even so, Jakiro, as long as he positions himself well and doesn't get caught out by the Leech Seed of the Tree and Protector, also should survive.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, Denial... They just don't have the greatest picking potential at all. I don't know, it's such a weird lineup for Denial. Maybe it's gonna work out, maybe they've tried something like that before. I haven't seen too many Denial games myself, so can't really say. Plus, of course, there are some things that you really haven't even put to practice in official games, just in practice ones. PGG though, going for the rune. He's gonna get caught. There's the Leech Seed, Regeneration Rune, not gonna do anything. Impale does land on the 2, so he still might be safe with his boots, but never mind. Cryo J's right click with the chilling touch is just way too much. So yeah, that just happened.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of teams still haven't really gotten accustomed to, is being able to go for those runes as a single support generally is a fairly bad idea if the enemy team is camping them, and Nyx Assassin's going to give it first blood because he goes for a pretty greedy regeneration rune that wouldn't have done anything either way, so PGG is going to be punished for that very heavily. Jakiro, because of that, it's not going to have a great time, but currently trading very well up against effing Mad. Just the armor advantage with 8 armor, howl damage, and liquid fire. There's nothing the AA can do, especially without Chilling Touch and some extra allies.
Yeah, it was really weird. I'm not too sure if he had some lag or something, because Ancient Apparition literally didn't even do anything. He just ran like forwards towards the tier 1 tower of the Radiant, and then ran back and literally did nothing. Not a single right click even into Bignum. Was a little bit weird, but I guess won't make too much of a difference. Mid lane Necroman drops pretty low just from Choral's right clicks. And that's the issue with Lycan early on. Especially if he went for Quelling Blade as well, means that this bottle is going to be delayed. Doesn't have the Wolves. A nice double impale from PGG. Should be making it out. Never mind, he turns around. Got Leech Seed. Dead. Never mind. Fucking Matt didn't follow up, and of course Sniper. A little bit too far as well. Bottom lane though, Fanzi also takes heavy harassment from the Silencer. Just range versus melee. casual stuff. Of course, Green is also around with the Ether Shock level 1, keeps on spamming it out on Fancy. So Fancy not having the just most fun of times.
Yeah. He's at level 2, and Jakiro hasn't been able to get that level yet. Now Leash seated up. Bignum's going to be given the rundown. There are occasional headshot procs, but an impel coming out from PGG is going to be enough to bail out the Jakiro. This is kind of how I expected this lane to go. With or without the first spot, I don't think it's really changed much. They're still able to get experience on both of their heroes decently well. Now PGG going to sit on the rune this time, and not going to be camped by the rest of the team, and he'll even find an evidence rune that he'll secure for himself, potentially setting up for this Puck, although I don't think Puck is going to die. If he gets caught out by the Impale and they have some extra Howl damage on top, maybe there's some killing potential.
It should be pretty damn hard in the Choral. If he uses now Impale, they're waiting for it, but they both get silenced, and Necroman, he goes down instead. Impale even missed as well, or rather got dodged by Choral. This was just pretty much the worst outcome possible. PG, he got a little bit too close. The mana burn is there, only needs one more right click, might even get it. Phase shift is there for Choral. PG is a little bit faster. There's the dodge, Green coming in as well. So they get the kill in the end in return, but they also lose the Lycan.
Yeah, I don't think that's worth it. It's going to be really nice for Nyx's Assassin, getting half a level out of that as well as some important gold for PGG. He's also going to be forced back to base, however, and Puck making the best out of a really bad situation where he probably should have just died, or at the very least be forced all the way back to base.
Yeah, Choral just... he kind of anticipated it, or must have been, I don't know. Maybe he was just like, yeah, I can kill off Necroman. Didn't even know whether there is a Nyx or not. Just lucky silence, I guess, slightly. Doesn't matter, both mid laners die in the end. Necroman is getting closer to the puddle of his, only needs that one last right click. He gets it as well. 2 more seconds and that's gonna be his puddle purchased. Top lane, Bignum heavily harassed but has some tango still left. Can pick up Tranquil Woods soon-ish as well. Definitely gonna help him out and just staying in the lane and of course harassing fucking Matt back a little bit. And Sniper is going for the maxed out Shrapnel, so... First of all, it's nice if you want to push off on your own. Plus, of course, decent-ish for counter-pushing.
Yeah, like in mid, again aggressed upon, but it looks like we're going to see some action up top as well, as Bignum spotted out by that Shrapnel is just going to give the shot down by Paris, and he's going to be able to secure this kill, although slowly, he will get that last hit eventually.
So I think it's safe to say, as Naran CryoJ going for the rune together with PGG, who's going to pick it up? Now, there's Choral as well. PGG, I think it's going to be safe. No Dream Coil used at the moment, or to use. Regeneration rune didn't really do anything because it took damage immediately. But I think it's safe to say that Denial's early game is going better for them than expected.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. 3-1, they have come out in pretty much every single one of their lanes except for the off lane. And even the Faceless Void, Funzy managed to find himself level 2, and he's going to be jungling, and eventually we're going to see Chronosphere come up for them. It's not a great situation to be in for sure, but Silencer is getting about the same farm as the Sniper up towards top. Mid is winning, and they have the kill advantage.
Well, the Silencer, do you think he's even going to go for something like a Midas, or what build would you expect? At the moment, it has a Sage's Max, so might be just Orchid Silencer even, just to make sure you can kill off a Puck, for example?
I wouldn't be opposed to an Orchid Silencer, but honestly, I think getting that Midas to get a faster Aghanim's Refresher would be pretty nice for him as well. The Orchid puts a lot of pressure onto him to get kills with it, or at least win some major team fights on top of it. And even though it's some nice damage for the Silencer, is it enough delaying that late game impact? I'm not so sure. It might synergize well with the timing that they're trying to hit with their other heroes, but Necroman's not getting as much as he'd like to out of the lane. We still have yet to see level 5 from Bignum, and once level 7 comes out, maybe they can push some tier 1s with the Jakiro, but he needs to constantly be careful. As Paris and the Ancient Apparition, just with the slows, they can kill him with the damage that they get from Chilling Touch.
Chilling Touch is such a strong ability, and even 2 points into Cold Feet as well. Not a spell you often max out, but it can work out if you have something to make the proc. Between the Leech and the headshot procs as well from Sniper, it might be enough. As Necroman, he's gone into the jungle completely now with PGG soaking up XP from the mid lane. It's something that I actually like to see from them, just utilizing the most of the map like that. Of course, PGG struggled a little bit against Choral, but Choral now, with his Dream Coil, wants to go top lane, wants to get the kill on Bignum, make sure that Jakiro does not get the levels for the Liquid Fire, and if he doesn't have the Liquid Fire, the Snowball is just going to get slowed down, but there's the Illusion Orb, going to come in, and Assassinate already used. Bignum should go down, Ice Path is there, Choral not going to get hit though, PG not going to be there to TP in time anyway. So Puck just finds an easy kill.
Yeah, no big surprises there. Once the assassinate was coming out, it was already looking pretty grim for the Jakiro, and it's not the cleanest of kills, but it still gets the job done. They'll be completely fine to go back towards their lanes. It's giving a little bit more room to Necroman down in bottom, but that doesn't really impact very much at all. He'll be able to put some damage on the tier 1 tower, and even that's pretty negligible, especially when you compare it to what Denial could have done up in top lane. They still haven't utilized that shrapnel in order to push down the tower, but eventually those tier 1s are going to fall. Kind of similar to a liquid fire push, although not as fast. It's fairly safe.
There is a smoke though. Smoke already breaks just because Cryo J was around. They see 3 heroes now. I don't think Screen is going to be fast enough to catch parries. Ice Path though will make sure he has to dodge a little bit. Shrapnel was used. There's the Shackles as well. Do they even have enough damage? Impale is there. Never mind. They're going to turn everything around. But Global Silence is there. Buying some valuable time. It's a 1-for-1. A support for Cordo is big enough. He's going to lose his life. Necroman comes in. Will the Wolf do anything at all? Go for the tankiest of targets. Okay then, well, maybe they're going to have enough. I have my doubts. Well, with the Impale missing, they cannot follow up anymore. And there's the silence onto PGG. In return, Choral wants to keep on going. The Wolves come in to try to help out. Although Choral, he will not be just dissuaded from this. Oh, even gets the kill. Screen not going to be able to follow up with Shackles or anything. Does Choral really go for more? I don't think he has enough mana to follow up, but that fight wasn't good at all. Just fuck coming in and them chasing just so far.
Yeah, I mean, losing your Cypher is definitely not where Denial want to be. But it's still not all that bad for them since they come out in the numbers trade on the top. This Silencer is getting quite a lot of farm, and for now we still haven't seen what he's going to build. He's sitting on 1400 gold. But ZXC, despite using that ultimate once, it didn't really feel like it had much of an impact at all into the fight. And Silencer, just as a hero, isn't as explosive and doesn't get that instant item to really have an immediate impact unless he goes for like the Agnum's Refresher build, and even that isn't all that great. He is going to be going back for an Agnum Scepter, so it is just a casual Sage's Mask for him.
Oh god. Well, I guess some mana regeneration won't hurt. And maxed out Glaze of Wisdom as well. It's usually you would want to fight if you go for that build, although so far 0 just percent of fighting for him. I mean, it hasn't been a part of a single kill. Of course, they only have 2 kills anyway for the team. But it's weird to see him going for Glaze of Wisdom. I guess just lane harass wants to dominate that Faceless Void. Who is on the top lane now with no Chronosphere, unfortunately. Bottom lane though, they get the jump onto ZXC Silencer. He's a pretty easy kill once you actually close the distance on him. And, well, Denial, they are playing just so well in this early game.
Yeah. I think the Silencer's choice to go back for the Agnum Scepter is kind of a change of pace after the early game didn't go how Moscow 5 International wanted it to. And that's also why he went for the Max Glaive. I'm not sure if that was even for the lane. I think he wanted to play aggressively with the rest of his team. But still no level 6 on the Shadow Shaman. Lycanthrope, not even Vlad's up. He has absolutely nothing. Bottle and a couple of rings to put on his fingers. Jakiro not level 7. And it's going to be another kill, this time on bottom, as he'll be able to jump forward to the orb and kill off the Shadow Shaman. All he wanted was some levels.
And Nyx Assassin's Vendetta doesn't get anything done either at the moment. So Denial looking decentish across the board. Looking at the graphs as well. About a 2.5k net worth lead for Denial. Whereas XP nearing 1500 or so. And Necroman, well, he's trying to do something, anything desperately, but still doesn't have his Vlads. Almost finished though. Needs the Morbid Mask still, so another 400 gold. Lycan just really, against Puck all in all, not the greatest of matchups. Plus, of course, that one death hurt him quite a lot as well. But top lane, we have
All
some
eyes
more
on
TP.
Funzy. Yeah, he was hiding in the trees, gets his level 6 from one more creep, and now with the Chronosphere, Ancient Apparition, Ice Blast with the Assassinate. That's going to be a clean kill on the Jakiro. Funzy, he spent like 30 seconds soaking some experience over in this vicinity, but Jakiro did not expect Faceless Void to be there, so his patience is rewarded.
Yeah, now picks up the Gloves of Fates as well. It can be a late Hand of Midas, can just be Power Treads into Mask of Madness, something like that. It's Midas, I mean, it wouldn't be horrible as Lycan. Well, they find a kill onto Puck mid lane. I guess PGG's second Vendetta for some fruits, so nice, finally get some revenge onto the Puck here. And Pigram comes in as well, has a level 3 Liquid Fire. This should be a tower down without the Puck being alive. Sniper in the meantime picks up a Hand of Midas of his own. So they're definitely gearing things up for the later stages of the game.
Yep. Sniper does have Power Treads as well as Aquila on top of this, and I think Paris probably could have gotten away with getting the Midas as his first item. But I don't expect this game to end anytime soon. Neither team really are in any opportunity to push convincingly onto the enemy side of the map. And Funzy, even though he could be just going for power treads, with this Gloves of Haste, I wouldn't be opposed to him getting a Midas as well.
Well, PGG was trying to, I think, snipe a courier, but managed to TP out at least, so didn't lose his own life. And in the meantime, ZXC farming up. Staff of Wizard there. Needs another 1.7k. He's number 1 in net worth, just barely though, and Puck, with his Blink Dagger coming out in 300 gold, it's going to get that much scarier for Moscow 5. Just Blink, Silence, Illusory Orb, plus an Assassinate already would be enough to get most kills. And do you think Denial might even try to just snatch an early Roshan at some point? They only have 1 point into headshot, so it might not be the easiest, but the headshot procs otherwise are a pretty great way of just dealing with Roshan.
Yeah, they're decent. I'm not sure if they're going to go ahead and snag it away from Moscow 5, and if they were, I think maybe Train Protector would have gotten a medallion instead of the Arcane Boots, but for now, PGG, stocking both of his supports, has an opening to potentially kill off effing Matt if he has a little bit more backup, but essentially on the ground, overgrowth into PGG. Leech Seed as well to slow him down. They do have the Hex coming out from the screen. The Global Silence, he's shackled down in place of Vendetta damage, and now the follow-up Impale onto CryoJ. It's going to be a clean kill on the tree. Denial supports a little bit too late on that sentry placement, and good reaction coming out from Moscow 5.
The Global Silence was just more or less purely to make sure that Denial cannot follow up with like a Time Walk Chronosphere, but they still have it now. Ice Blast is flying, will connect on 4 heroes with the Dream Coil as well. Fancy only catches 1 with the Chronosphere, funny enough, but 2 are already there. Doesn't really matter. Necroman gonna go for fucking mad. Trying to TP out is not, or rather, is getting back to safety. Necroman now, he's on the run in return. No Dream Coil to lock him down, but well, what a fight for Denial. Just Ice Blast onto 4 into 4-man Dream Coil, just beautiful stuff.
Yeah, you can't ask for much better. Ancient Apparition catching all of those heroes on the very edge of the Ice Blast. You can't really prepare for things like that to happen all the time. It probably would have been a good Ice Blast in other situations, but it turns out to be absolutely perfect. Up towards top. Paris is going to be joined by the Blinking Puck, and he's going to get the Blink Silence into Bigum and blown up by the Assassinate. Going to jam that one in. PGG spotted out. Now Ice Blasted up. They're going to auto-attack him once, but the vision is already worn off. Now focusing Screen. He hexes up Dural, but they have turning potential. Screen's going to fall just to the right clicks coming out from both of them. That's a double kill for Paris. I believe that was a Shrapnel to kill off the next Assassin. If nothing else, the right click to do him in, and that's going to be now again coming out ahead inside a fight, and just like that, Sniper's on 1700 gold on top of his Midas.
It's ridiculous how well Denial have played this or Moscow 5, it's not like they've made too many mistakes, just their laning wasn't the greatest at all, or the Nyx Assassin hasn't been enough, although Fancy comes into the bottom lane. Ice Blast is flying as well, they use the Overgrowth. CryoJ is still alive, going for the Necroman. Not enough as Fancy drops pretty low himself, just do not go through the Macropyre, guys. Necroman doesn't have the Shapeshift, Urn will not take him down low enough, as Lycan, with the help of the Wolves, brings down the Faceless Void, who more or less time walked in, had to run away immediately and still died, and tower down as well. So Moscow 5 finally getting a favorable trade.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice pick-off, but it's a Faceless Void, and he's an offlaner, and that's not the biggest of wins for them. Blink Dagger now on the Sniper is going to mean that Paris is even harder to catch you around on the map. This build, however, is fairly risky. The fog being abused by Screen, they're going to be able to set up with the Hex into the Shackles. Now Paris is probably going to give up his life, although Paris is surviving for a lot longer than I thought he would. Shadow Shaman's going to be able to get that kill. Ice Blast flying up towards top. Had he had the Blink Dagger faster, maybe it would have saved his life. I'm still kind of on the fence about this Blink choice coming up from the Sniper, however.
It really is weird. I mean, if you go for Midas, I would have expected to just really start buckling up on damaging items, maybe some survivability as well. I guess Blink arguably can be survivability. Nor, I'm not too sure what it's supposed to accomplish either.
I think the thought behind it is that Denial wanted to just split push and take this even later, and the Blink Dagger is going to help him do that, but I don't know. I would have liked to just see him go for like a Maelstrom or maybe something a little bit more defensively oriented.
It probably would have been better. I mean, Maelstrom, attack speed all in on Sniper is pretty good. Ice Blast flying once again, lands onto both of them. Thought that Screen might be out of it, but this time around there's no follow-up. PG, his Vendetta ends as well now on the Nyx Assassin. And might even run into fucking man. Never mind, fucking man comes from the high ground. PG from the low ground. But 6 to 16, looking at the graphs, it's not that big of a lead for Denial, at least not in net worth. 2500, XP about 4000, 3.5k, something like that. So not that horrible for Moscow 5, but that Lycan, for example, he's just shut down pretty hard. I mean, he has the Necro level 1 at least and the Vlads, but he doesn't even have boots.
I think that's a conscious decision by Necroman. I don't think he's going to go for boots at all this game. Maybe he's going to prove me wrong by him over the side shop. But as far as heroes that can get away with not getting boots, Lycanthrope is one of the better ones since he's going to be in Shapeshift during the team fight anyway. Maneuverability then isn't as impactful. I think it's still a worthwhile choice. And get boots on your Lycanthrope in your pubs. But I think this game, the extra pushing power is kind of mandatory. I think the biggest thing for me is that Denial aren't supposed to have an advantage at this time, even though it's pretty small on the advantage that they have gained. Moscow 5 are supposed to be the ones pressuring the towers, and they've taken 2 tier 1s, and at this point, that's not enough. They haven't really used the Serp Wards to much success. Lycanthrope hasn't pushed many towers, and the Jakiro Liquid Fire is the biggest reason why those tier 1 towers fell in the other lanes. So, I don't know, it's just looking good for Denial.
Have they even been able to use a single set of Mass Serpent Wards?
I haven't seen one, no. And Denial, they have an advantage when they're down in towers, and that's going to start getting even worse now that they start taking them with the shrapnel. So, I don't know, I think this game is still in Denial's favor pretty heavily, but this is going to change things a little bit as Necroman with the double damage rune and his Necronomicon's able to take Roshan in trade for that tier 1 tower, but will he get back there fast enough? Doesn't look like a PGG is going to be dropped by Jural in mid as the rest of his team pushes a tier 2 tower top.
Jural in 2 puck games in a row. Pretty damn great bottom lane. Ice Blast into Chronosphere. They get the kill on Big Nam as well. But Silencer has his Aghanim Scepter, so that's a huge pickup for ZXC and Moscow 5 in general. But they cannot really properly fight if 2 of their heroes are dead anyway to begin with. So Denial, they are slowly trying to push in themselves. They are backing off now. Afraid of something as... Yeah, they're going to defend bottom lane. They don't want to give away tier 2 to this Lycan.
Yeah, and that's fair. This Aegis, although it's a nice tool for Moscow 5, I don't think this is really going to change the pace of the game much at all. And I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to allow Moscow 5 to push into tier 2s or even convincingly take this tier 1 tower up towards top. So more or less it's just going to allow Necroman farming time to get up his Necrobook 3. And potentially whatever item comes after that. Denial, they're sitting on 2 hands of Midas, and as long as they're not losing, they're winning just because of the constant gold. And, well, that's a similar story as what we saw previously. Nyx, again, going to be blown up by the puck.
Just Ice Blast into Waning Rift, Illusory, plenty of damage. I think Lycan is the only one who will survive that combination, to be honest, at this point. And look at top lane. Too bad Fancy does not have a Chronosphere, but there's the Mass Serpent Wards. Haste on Jural. He wants to come in. Can they defend this? Can they fight?
They'll pop the glyph, and Puck going to start clearing up the wards, but on the backlines, they jump on the Shadow Shaman himself, and he's going to fall. The macro power doesn't really land into much of anything, but Funzy's taking a lot of damage. The Silencer is going to get his last ward backtracked. So Funzy's going to survive, especially since he has some living armor support as well. It's a 1-for-0 trade, but Moscow 5 are going to put this first usage of Serpent Wards into a tower up top, but if it's denied, that could be disastrous for them. They're going to hold on to it, and Shadow Shaman does get that last hit. Now Cryo J inside the Ice Path under the Serpent Wards is going to fall. Even more intelligence towards the Silencer.
So it's a pretty good fight all in all by the end. PGG got hit by an Ice Blast randomly. He's gonna find Fancy though, Impale. It gets the kill as well, so it got even better Chural now. No Yule Scepter, he's gonna use the Illusory Orb and probably chaunt out to it. Still might be in trouble though, he's in the trees. Necroman can follow up, Shapeshift ends. And well, no boots now. He's pretty slow, but they can even keep on pushing now with the Faceless Void dead.
Yeah, I think that this Moscow 5 International finding like 3 small engagements that isolated wouldn't net them much, but when they're all at the same time, it's going to mean that they'll get a tier 2 tower with the Lycanthrope, his Necrobook on the ground, Wolves as well, Liquid Fire. This tower is not long for this world. And Ice Path is going to be annoying. It's going to land onto a lot of heroes, instantly destroying the Jakiro. Necroman's probably going to lose his Aegis here, going to pop the Quill in order to make sure that that happens. Lycanthrope does get the tower destruction, however, as the fight is going to continue onto Necroman. He's dropped down to the ground, held there by the Overgrowth, Illusory Orb over the top of PGG, as well as Necroman. They'll be able to blow up the poor Treant Protector, but now with the Chronosphere onto Necroman, as well as onto the Nyx Assassin, they're going to be able to kill off both of them. Necroman, negative burn charge onto him, will be pursued by the Blinking Puck, and no boots on Necroman. There's nowhere to run.
And in the bottom lane, the tower was destroyed by the tire, so no deny there, but Shadow Shaman got the kill onto Sniper in return, and ZXC got 2 more points of intelligence. But Moscow 5, they got the tower at least. They lost some heroes, but I think it's fine for them. Just Moscow 5, all they want is to destroy towers. They need to get this kind of map control and open up the map so they can go for different set of lanes as far as just choosing which high ground to push goes for them. bottom lane. Ice Blast flying, but no follow-up, and that Ice Blast was, I don't even know where. But ZXC going for a straight-off Refresher Orb now. Probably the more popular choice on silencers anyway. Already has the Oblivion Staff as well. And considering he didn't go for a Midas, and they haven't been able to push a terrible amount of towers at the moment, I think the silencers farm is pretty good.
It's decent, but still 2,000 down on the likes of Lycanthrope, Puck, and Sniper. However, jumping to Droll is going to get impaled, and the right clicks from PGG, it's enough to get himself a solo kill without any backup from the rest of his allies.
Mana burn, it was level 3 at that time as well, I think, but now it's maxed out. Just 5 times your intelligence. It's just completely retarded amount of damage, to be honest, considering how low the cooldown is. 4 seconds, and Puck, his intelligence is sitting at 87, so that means you're taking like 535 damage of mana burn as well as damage every single time, every 4 seconds. That's kind of broken, to be honest.
It's definitely really good, and well, Ice Blast in mid, going to land only on the screen. Yule Scepter on the Dream Protector on the sideline. It's going to be Ice Path macro powered by Cryo J. The damage is pretty significant onto him, but stick charges, he's going to be able to walk out of this pretty comfortably. And the super wards are being taken out by the tower one at a time. Now Sniper to mop those up, but in the backlines, they find a jump into Cryo J. He's going to be impaled, as is Cryo J. The Overgrowth is going to help Paris get some distance between him and the enemy team. Jumping through the Chronosphere, lands on the 3, but where's the follow-up? Gonna be much. The Sniper tries to get as many right clicks as possible out, but they're chasing him inside their own base. The Necrobook and his army blowing forward by the Nyx Assassin for an impale. That Sniper on the deck, and now tier 2 tower in mid is going to be taken by Moscow 5 International. Only 3 Serpent Wards remaining. Jumping from Drow, going to John to absorb silence on Necroman, trying to focus him down. Does get the Dream Glove. Necroman still surviving, however, Ice Path onto the Puck. He can't get out of this alive. He's going to use himself up into the air, and that's going to survive for a little bit longer as ZXC cleans up the Ancient Apparition on the backlines. Blink towards the other side of the fight, coming out from Drow, going to avoid PGG with no mana for anything else. He might be able to make a turn. Spike Carapace is going to stop that. Silence from the Puck is going to be avoided by another blink from the Nyx Assassin, and the fight has pretty much completely dissipated. Moscow 5 International, the victors.
Really well done. Almost got a few extra kills there as well, and PG got the Regeneration Rune. Just barely enough mana to activate the Vendetta to make sure that Choral does not kill him off. I don't think PG can go for the counter kill though without an Impale, and yeah, he's going to give up on this as well. But Moscow 5 definitely getting good fights, and Lycan suddenly, he's number 1 in net worth. Not by a long shot or anything, but at least he is there. Silencer getting some more farm as well. We'll have that Perseverance, so only missing 1.8k to just get the recipe for the Refresher. And the Global Silence, it did so much damage just from that Curse of the Silent aspect of it.
Yeah, a lot of mana per coming out from Moscow 5 International. If he's able to get a curse as well as the ultimate at the same time, that does stack, so it's going to give you 32 mana loss for 13 seconds, or effectively times 13, and that's quite significant. Then you also have the Nyx Assassin taking away your mana, and eventually that might stop Faceless Void from getting off his ultimate reliably. It's not the easiest of spells to get off for Faceless Void, a fairly low intelligence hero already, especially since he's lost a stack or two to Silencer.
Oh, look at where Cryo J is. He's under the guise of the Nature Sky, so he's trying to scout things out, maybe start things up with his ultimate. Fancy, he goes in, there's the Chronosphere, Ice Blast to follow onto only Necroman. Screen pops his ultimate as well in the meantime. Necroman drops so damn low and gets taken out. The Assassinate is a little bit too much, but Fancy will lose his own life as well, or will he? Backtracking a little bit, never mind, he goes down in the end. Cryo J, Ice Blast impaled up. Tower drops low, but parries. He cleans up the Mass Serpent Wars, there's the Dream Coil, lands onto 3, but the Global Silence comes out once again. No follow-up except the right clicks of Paris. He gets stunned. Yule Scepter Ice Path up as well. This is probably the death of the Sniper Choral. Trying to do anything he can from the backlines, but it's a 4-for-1 plus a tier 2.
Yeah, Puck the only survivor, and after quite a long time of denial, looking like they had firm control over this game, or at least were looking good, Moscow 5 International are just able to put together this push, and wonderfully at that, they'll blow up the Nyx Assassin, not even time to pop the Spike Carapace as he gets instantly silenced by Jaral, and that's going to be a nice pickup for them. This tier 3 tower is still going to take some pretty significant damage, however, Living Armor going to be eaten through by Liquid Fire instantly, and then the tower is going to be dropped about 530 damage. Puck still pursuing, going to look towards ZXC. Yule Scepter onto the Silencer to bridge the gap. Does get a silence off onto him. ZXC now man fighting up against him. Jarrell's not really winning this fight. Has some extra help from the Living Armor, but that's a gem on the deck as well. That's a pretty big win for Moscow 5, and ZXC is not going to die that Ancient Apparition Blast or even get close, and that's his completed Refresher too. Moscow 5 International have completely swung this game in their favor.
Oh, they most certainly have. Just extremely well done. a couple of good engagements, Refresher Orb, Aghanim Silencer with a level 3 ultimate as well. So that's gonna mean pretty much 14 seconds of silence if you use it absolutely perfectly. And Denial, do they have anybody who can get even rid of the global silence? Well, there's gonna be a BKB on the Faceless Void soon enough. That's only gonna help you for one, and even if he can get off the chrono, if there's no follow-up, no spells, no nothing for it, doesn't really matter even if he chronos, as long as the silencer stays out of it.
Yeah, it really doesn't, and they need to catch that silencer, and I don't think ZXC is going to give them that opportunity to, or at least he shouldn't. Silencer should sit in the backline, still Chronosphere and Druid Pool have already been spent, then he can join up as the cleanup crew. Before then, the global silence is usually enough of a teamfight impact. There is a Vendetta prep by PGG, gonna bump into Cryo J, but both of them are invis, ships passing in the night, and PGG probably gonna back out of here. He might decide to go on to Paris, but he knows that there's a tree and backup and potentially even more, so I don't think he's going to try. Never mind, he's going to try. He's going to drop Paris below half with the Dagon. The Living Armor is going to keep the Sniper alive, but the Global Silence kills him off, and that's the best case scenario for M5.Int, as he's able to steal that intelligence globally.
That's just ridiculous, to be honest, but Cryoj does scout out PG. They had the sentry just in place, though. Don't think PG has enough with his Dagon on cooldown. Forces out the overgrowth though. Now more heroes coming in. Blink Silence will catch one. Picking up. He cannot follow up with the Ice Buff. There's Global Silence number 2 though. They were baiting it out. Evil Scepter buys some time. Nice phase shift as well. He's not going to get hit by the Ice Buff. There's the dual breath though. Liquid Fire as well. Choral. He's going to go down anyway. Oh god. This is just going from bad to worse if you're Denial.
It really is. And Shadow Shaman, he's getting attacked by Funzy, but now Ice Path up. The Faceless Void probably going to kill off the Shadow Shaman. He gets tagged by the Ice Blast, and that's going to be the end of his life. The gem on the deck, not secured by Bignum, is pinged out, and he will turn around and pick up that Gem of True Sight. But now it's going to be effing mad to give himself a double kill as he kills off PGG inside the base. I had no idea how that Nyx Assassin ended up there, or how he died as well.
He was chasing the Ancient Apparition for a pretty long time, to be honest. He just got enough mana for an Impale as well, but decided to go for a mana burn. It would have been enough under normal terms, but Ancient Apparition being out of mana at the time, mana burn didn't do enough damage. Plus, of course, Living Armor was there. He just needed to go for an Impale with the really last piece of his mana. Had it missed, he could have backed off just immediately. But with the mana burn, hero staying alive, he had to stay around for a little bit longer. So just died. Of course, doesn't matter too much, it's a Nyx Assassin after all. Especially since Moscow 5 also clean up a Roshan at the same time. And I really want to take a look at the graphs. It's about an 8k net worth lead now for Moscow 5 International. XP 4,000, not as massive, but the swing has been pretty substantial.
Yeah, it really has. And even though Moscow 5 leak a couple of their supports here and there, I don't think that really impacts the grand scheme of things for them. If they aren't able to push up high ground for 10 minutes, then Moscow 5 International might be in a bad situation this game. But the Midases coming out from Denial, although they came out at really nice times and it looked for the longest of times that they wouldn't be punished, they're being punished, but in a delayed fashion. They haven't paid off for themselves. Sniper, just with the Blink and Maelstrom completed, working towards a Black King bar. Paris isn't immediately the greatest threat, but now they're going to find Screen inside the jungle. And that's not a place that he can live. Chilling Touch applied to most of his gears. Now going to look for the Ice Blast. Lands onto 2. Graduate going to be dropped low, but now with the Sniper outside of the Chronosphere, PGG is going to be focused down. Necroman getting ulted by the Sniper, but the BKB is going to stop all of that damage. The Aegis is down. But only just the Wolf with the ultimate coming out from the Silencer. He's going to be able to steal damage from both of those kills. And now Necroman back online. Funzy completely tapped out of mana. Can't do anything but watch himself burn down. Maybe getting a backtrack here or there. Moscow 5 International still find a favorable engagement.
Choral will probably make it out. Another Evil Scepter is there on him. He burns a little bit, but fucking mad is around as well. ZXC coming closer. I really think Moscow 5, they could have taken it a little bit better anyway. They went into the enemy jungle knowing that they don't have global signs of cooldown at the time. So, but even taking that into consideration, that it wasn't the best of fights for Moscow 5 because they didn't have the global silence to begin with, not to mention double global silence. It still went pretty good for them. And now they're gonna try at least to pressure the high ground a little bit, just liquid fire it slowly up, I think.
Yeah, like, don't see why not. Right now, Denial, no Faceless Void Chronosphere, no Dream Coil. and no sniper for 10 seconds. They might not be able to take this tower, but they're gonna try. Surfboard's down on the ground. It's gonna give Drawl an opening to jump onto both Screen and Necroman, but doesn't commit anything else because he doesn't have the Dream Coil until now. Melee Barracks now being focused, looking for the Chronosphere. It's not gonna come out from Funzy. It's also on cooldown, acting like he has it with the BKB, just taking too much damage. They'll snipe out Bignum with the Assassinate. Now Ice Blast onto both of them. That is going to be the end of Jakiro's life as well. Now chasing down Drawl. Lycanthrope trying for a little bit of revenge of his fallen comrades. There's going to be a Force Staff into Impale coming out from effing Mad, and that's going to be effing Mad on the deck as Drawl's pursued by PGG. One more mana burn is going to end Puck's life, and there's your Melee Barracks falling in mid.
And Denial, being 2 racks behind, their heroes really aren't the best equipped to just deal with mega creeps like this. And even in this fight, Silencer could have popped the Refresher and Global Silence as well to make it a little bit better, but his normal Global Silence was cooling off for like 40-50 seconds, so he didn't want to use it. In any case, another win for Moscow 5, 2 racks ahead, and Denial, they don't even have a Maelstrom on Faceless Void to just creep clear fast. I mean, Sniper has it, but still not the fastest of creep clears. Oh, PG, he's gonna get Chronoed, so another just death for the Nyx, but it really doesn't just alter the end outcome at all, and he even might survive. What? Oh, never mind. Paris comes in with his blink, gets the last right click in. Nyx, immediate buyback. I guess they want to just finish up the last set of racks while they had the double global.
I suppose so. I mean, there's no real reason to not buy back from Nyx Assassin. He's not going to be saving up for anything more than what he already has. Like, Blink Dagon is pretty much Nyx Assassin's peak of power. Maybe you'll get a Scythe, upgrade your Dagon, work towards an Ethereal Blade, something along those lines, but I think PGG is going to be completely fine spending that gold. And out of everybody on his team, he's the one that's died the most, 7-11 and 11 on PGG, and it's cushioned the blow for a lot of his other cores, where Lycanthrope and the other heroes have been able to survive through the majority of it.
How do Denial defend this? They're gonna have Mass Serpent Wards on the side of Moscow 5. They will have the Necrobook coming off. Pipe already activated from Bignum. Ice Path just try to zone people out. Liquid Fire starts the stuff. This, I don't know, Denial, I don't think they can hold on.
Blink forward, they get a Hex on a Funzy, and there's your first global ultimate. There's a BKB on Paris to get him out of this, but what does it actually matter? Paris is being munched down by the Zoo coming out from Lycanthrope. Screen going to be Dream Coiled up by the Puck and will fall down. His Faceless Void bashes him. Bignum is going to avoid HF version of Ice Blast with the Ult Scepter, but Funzy's just falling too quickly. With that Mask of Madness, he's dropping almost solo to the Faceless Void's army, or excuse me, the Lycanthrope's army, and it is going to be the end of his life. 1 for 3, Sniper and HF version, the only ones to survive, and they still haven't used their second global. That's the second global down. Now effing Mad, going to be focused down. Silencer doesn't get intelligence for that kill, but it doesn't matter. That's Mega Creeps, and GG. Yet another JDL series going 1-1.
Just classic, man. At least in the European Division 1 in Season 4, just 1-1 is the most popular score by far. So, like I said, another 1-1, but Moscow 5 extremely well played, looked good for Denial at some point, but it was just, I guess, Moscow 5 not hitting their timing quite yet. But once they started grouping up and taking fights, just somehow, magically everything went their way. But this is gonna be it for the day, at least for now. We're gonna have another game of POC, the Battle of Central Europe. It's going to be House of Gamers versus Lion at 20 CET on Hitbox HP1. Or hitbox.tv/HeflaTV HP1. Yes, that's what I meant. Also, HeflaTV 2 on Twitch at the moment is going with Balkan Bears versus somebody for JDL Division 2, I do believe. Heflamo casting it. So be sure to check these out. As always, hope you enjoyed the cast. If you did, you can follow HeflaTV for more of our content on our social media, Facebook and Twitter.com/HeflaTV. And, well, if you want to follow the casters, it's at Coucher for me everywhere. And Grandis, where can people find you? Unless he's gone already, so you can find Grandis at GrandisV, guys, everywhere as well. Didn't even notice he hung up on me. Goddamn bastard. But, guys, once again, I appreciate it that you came and just hope to see you another time. Check out HeflaTV 2 for Balkan Bears, as well as, in about 15 minutes time, HeflaTV HP1 on Hitbox for House of Gamers versus Lions.